Eddie Lack, Yarrow Halak, John and John in the booth at Rogers Arena on Sportsnet.
Brad, thank you. Third of a 5-game homestand for the Canucks as they look to follow up their 4-1 win over Detroit on the weekend. Starting goalies for this one, just mentioned by Brad. They're brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL. Yaroslav Halak coming off a rare loss, only his third in his last 21. That included a club record 11-game win streak, breaking the mark of 10 set by Billy Smith. And Eddie Lack, first game action since December 17th. He turned 27 years old yesterday. February 10th, 2009. That's the day Avino had the idea to put Alex Burrows with the Sedins. Quite a prolific run they had together. He's back there tonight. And there's Michael Grabner, ex-Canuck, playing just his 6th game of the season, back from complications from some hernia surgery. Grabner on a line with Tavares and Oposo for the Islanders, who send the puck into the Vancouver zone. But the Canucks work it to the stick of Chris Tanev. His lead pass blocked, and Alex Edler takes control. Travis Hamonic broke that one up. Here's Henrik Sedin trying to move through center. Puck taken away by Calvin DeHaan, and he passes over to Hamonic. Long pass to center. And Anders Lee brings the puck over the Vancouver line, takes a stiff check from Alex Edler. Chris Higgins hooks the puck to center. After it was Bonito, but played away from him by Nick Leddy. And now the puck backhanded in by Tavares, who heads to the bench. Mentioned earlier, John Tavares didn't play in the game here at Rogers Arena last year when the Islanders scored 7 in the third to beat the Canucks. Here's Higgins in on the left. Shot off a stick and wide. Puck held into the blue line, set up for Lyndon Bay on the back end. He turns, feeds Bonino, who shoots wide. Higgins was in front, providing a distraction for Yarrow Halak. Islanders get the puck out. Bonino brings it back in. Here's Bay to the net. Trying to center for Higgins, and the pass was blocked by a sprawling Johnny Boychuk. Islanders wheel back to center. Mikhail Grabovski pass to Ryan Strome, who tried a wrist shot that went off Lucas Spiza up into the air and eventually into the glove of Eddie Lack.
Kevin Bieksa on the bench. Mike Bernstein came over and quickly talked to him. Kevin thought this was late. Makes a play and then gets hit right in the numbers by Nielsen. And then the Canucks turn it over. Lyndon Bay tried to pass instead of taking the shot. When you're struggling, what's it worth? Shoot the puck.
Had a couple opportunities.
You get a chance there, shoot the puck.
Face off of the Vancouver zone. Richardson against Brock Nelson. Here's Zach Kassian passing to Alex Edler. He skates ahead to center. Puck got away from him momentarily. Now he gathers it and shoots it in. Tanev plays the puck in from outside the line. Kassian and Richardson tag up and play continues. Neither team with a shot at the 2-minute mark of the first period. Nelson, the pass at center, gets a return feed. Lines up with a Canuck stick. Richardson hooked him for a moment. There is going to be a penalty for that. Richardson let go of the stick after getting it in on the Islander player, but he'll head to the box.
Well, on the rush, when you're trailing the play, the natural tendency is just to reach out. Brad Richardson, the puck goes through his skates, and now he's trailing the play, so he reaches out. And they got the stick on the arms and ends up with a hooking penalty.
Islanders power play tied for 11th in the NHL, but has it been on a tear lately? 7 for 20 in the last 4 games.
You know what surprised me? Guess who leads the Metropolitan Division in goals scored?
I'm going to guess the New York Islanders.
You're going to guess the New York Islanders ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Islanders set out Boychuk at the right point. Tavares tried to get the puck into the corner. Lucas Spiza broke that up. And now the puck is down inside the New York blue line. Canucks third best in the NHL on the penalty kill. 40 of the last 43 they have successfully staved on. Puck is off Bieksa's stick right to Spiza. And he makes no mistake getting it off the boards and all the way down the ice. Sean Matthias almost stole the puck. Now Kyle Oposo brings it through center. Over the Vancouver line with a drop pass. Matthias there to intercept. clearing attempt hit the referee, Francois Saint-Laurent, center. So the fans react as the puck didn't get all the way down the ice, but maybe it'll work out. Daniel Sedin with a shorthanded chance shoots it off Halak and over top of the net.
Another short goalie.
You're okay with that?
Alex Stalock had some problems in San Jose, short goalie, and Canucks looking at Jaro Halak, who is under 6 feet tall. One of the few goalies in the league playing well that size.
Islanders finally get the puck back and then hand it right to Bieksa. This power play going nowhere to this point with 35 seconds remaining. Bo Horvat's onto the ice along with Derek Dorsett. Stanton and Bieksa, the defenseman, as Ryan Strome passes it center. Nielsen, Bieksa got his revenge there as he threw a hard hit on Frans Nielsen on the far side. Here's Strome. 15 seconds to go in the power play. Hamonic trying to find a shooting lane. Got it through. Lack with one save, then another on the rebound as he stopped Grabowski and covers up in the crease.
This period brought to you by Toyota. Toyota's Boxing Month event is on now at a Toyota dealer near you.
Take the guy's number. That's what Kevin Bieksa did. No penalty called on Nielsen before. And a good solid hit. You see Nielsen's rock. The helmet shakes loose. Shoulder-to-shoulder hit by Kevin Bieksa.
Eddie Lack forced to make a few saves. Islanders up to 3 shots now. Canucks don't have an official one. Daniel Sedin had that opportunity shorthanded. Now Richardson's out of the box. Here's a chance for Casey Cizikas. Couldn't get the shot through. Bonino skates to center of the puck. Pass for Higgins. Into the corner for Nick Bonino. Looking in front, there's Vey. Couldn't take it cleanly on the backhand. Lyndon Vey spinning away from Thomas Hickey. Pass intercepted, and here's a lead feed to Cal Clutterbuck. He and Matt Martin on the ice. 1-2 and hits in the NHL with Martin leading the way. Richardson at center. Off his foot, past Higgins, and Tavares passes back into his own zone. Now shoots the puck in from center. Gets it by Eddie Lack. Back out to neutral ice, and Hamonic controls. Tavares to the far side. DeHaan turned away from the puck. And Oposo. Adlin picked it up. Here's Richardson firing wide on the pass from Zach Kassian. Islanders some confusion in the neutral zone led to a good chance for Vancouver. Now Kassian's into his own bench as he took a healthy run at one of the Islanders at center. And too many men on the ice call being signaled here. I think it's against the Islanders.
Zach Kassian with a nice outside-inside move. Good speed, outside-inside. Gives it to Brad Richardson, who just fires it about a foot wide. The Islanders, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see the defense coming over and nobody going off.
There goes Zach. So a Vancouver power play after the Canucks successfully killed off the first man advantage of the hockey. Edler checked, and the Islanders get the puck ahead to Frans Nielsen. Nielsen with a shorthanded shot, stopped by Eddie Lack. Now a centering pass is off Vey's stick, and Lack steers that away as well. No Radim Vrbata. So Lyndon Vey takes his spot on the power play. Here's Daniel Sedin on the left wing. Pass for Henrik. Gets by him right through to Halak. He'll grab the puck and take the whistle with 1:32 to go in the Islanders penalty.
John, you said Radim Vrbata not feeling well before this game, and the Canuck power play without Vrbata as you have Lyndon Vey, right-hand shot, taking Verbata's spot, but Vrbata is the trigger man, and he knows where to go, gets in those open areas, and the Sedins usually find him.
Edler tries a shot that deflects to the corner. Hamonic trying to clear, now tries the near side. Waiting at the left point, Daniel Sedin. Over to Edler, and that was blocked by Michael Grabner. Off his left leg and out of play.
And Radim Vrbata, John's, he's streaky. He has been streaky this year, and he's been on a hot streak lately, and I think that's why Willie Desjardins was thinking, okay, I can put him on the second line, and he's so hot right now that'll make the second line go, and then best laid plans of mice and men, as they say. Brad, I'm not feeling well.
Second unit on for Vancouver. Bieksa on the blue line. I assume Nick Bonino is the other point man. Cassian up front with Higgins and Derek Dorsett. Here's Nick Bonino. Rink wide, Dorsett. Cleverly negotiated that one. But the Canucks cough up the puck and Clutterbuck gets it out. Vancouver still without a shot. We're 6.5 minutes into the first. Higgins cuts to the middle. Drops for Dorsett, near side. Bonino takes the puck on the counter. Round behind the net. Out the far side, pass to Bieksa. I think he wanted to go backhand to Cassian, but lost control of the puck. Now Bieksa again lets it go. Loose at the side. And, oh, Bonino robbed by the left pad of Halak. Couldn't get it up and over. And Nick Bonino's goal-scoring woes continue. Here's Bieksa in front. Higgins. And the puck went right by Bonino again. Final couple seconds of the power play. Bieksa wrists one in front. Dorsett looking for the tip. And the puck cleared by Boychuk. Held in by Bieksa. Tavares is out of the box. Islanders back to full strength. Bonino from the corner. Centering passes off his stick. And the puck deflects down to the Vancouver blue line. Bonino and it is shipped. Hit by Hamonic as he plays the puck to the far corner. Now heads to the bench. Mathias threw one towards the goal. That's broken up. DeHaan brings the puck to center. Dumped in behind the goal. Now played ahead by Chris Tanev. Here's Mathias for Hansen, just out of his reach as he tried to get behind the defense. Brad Richardson holds the pocket, and now Oposo gets a chance to move and slides it ahead to Michael Grabner. Grabner in with a wrist shot block. Tanev takes the puck away. Grabner with a hit on him. And here comes Jannik Hansen. Drop pass. Edler with a wrist shot just wide. Stick side on Halak. Decent pace to this one as the Islanders move the puck over the Vancouver line. Nikolai Kulich stand on his shot attempt. Henrik Sedin tried to play the puck across. Off his stick and up in the air, brought out by Alex Burrows. Here's Grabowski. Trying to move in. Pass to the right point. Nick Leddy. Left point feed. And a shot from there is up high and behind the net. Matt Donovan trying to test Eddie Lack. Puck held in once more by New York, but now brought out by Daniel Sedin. Pass for Burrows broken up, and that put the play offside with the whistle blowing at the Islander blue line. Canucks had a good chance on the power play. Rebound for Bonino at the side, but there went the left pad of Halak.
Eddie Lack turned 27 yesterday. Said all he wanted was a start for his birthday. He got that tonight. What else did he get? Well, a hug from Ryan Miller, according to Ryan Miller, and he also got pranked by his teammates. They said, let's get together for a team picture. Watch Ryan Miller move out of here. He's wise. And in comes Bo Horvat with a giant bucket of ice cold water. Yes, they're men, but still act like boys. John?
I enjoy that. Team camaraderie, and it shows the team's getting along well. Backup goalie, it makes the backup goalie feel like part of it, even though he hasn't played in 3 weeks.
December 17th, the last start for the freshly turned 27-year-old. Cal Clutterbuck deflects the puck into the Vancouver zone. Stanton sets it up for Bo Horvat. Taken away by Casey Cizikas, who tried to feed the blue line. Now he's got a hold of Derek Dorset's stick. Hamonic in on the right wing. Centering pass, they score! Matt Martin tipped it in front. And the Islanders open the scoring just shy of the halfway mark of the first.
And you can see the look of frustration on Kevin Bieksa because he knows he was there and just didn't take Martin's stick. Islanders going to the net hard, and Kevin now is looking up the Jumbotron to see his positioning, I'm sure. Here comes Martin. Kevin's in good position here. Now get on the inside. Get on the inside, and he didn't. And Martin's able to get the stick. and tip it by Eddie Lack just inside the post. No chance for Eddie Lack on that one. Nice play by Hamonic, throws it across, and Martin just, all he has to do is tip it, and he's able to get the stick on it.
Martin's fifth at 9:38. And his first in 9 games. Canucks have hardly trailed at all in their last half dozen games. But down 1-0 here as Leddy moves in. Nielsen, and on a one-time attempt. Anders Lee battling for the puck. Edler picks it up. Alex Edler ahead to Lyndon Bay. Shoots the puck onto the left wing and offside as Higgins tried to move in. Islanders drawing first blood. Matt Martin, the goal, set up by Travis Hamonic, and it's 1-0 New York.
The holidays are a busy time, and as a result, more and more people are hosting their staff parties in January. If you're looking for an unforgettable event, check out the Canucks Single Game Suite. Suites accommodate between 12 and 70 people. Experience a Canucks game live with your group. Visit Canucks.com/singlegamesuites for details.
Sedins and Burrows onto the ice for Vancouver. Here's a steal by Alex Edler, cutting in towards the goal. Throws it across, and Burrows had the one-time attempt go off the heel of his stick. Canucks trying to hold the puck in, but Kyle Oposo sends it ahead for Hamonic. Tanev over to collect the puck. Grabner missed holding that one in, and the Canucks break to center. Henrik Sedin has Burrows in front. Henrik centers, and DeHaan broke that one up. Here's Oposo for Grabner. Threw one across, that one off a skate and out to center. Islanders will change after dumping the puck back in. Nine minutes left in the first. Grabowski. Still with the puck. And across. Hunter couldn't get a shot away. Or Nelson, pardon me. It's been a while since there's been a Hunter playing for the Islanders. Not quite as bad as when I called Aaron Volpatti Todd Warren 10 years after he'd been a Canuck. I'm turning into Tom Landry.
Oh.
Brock Nelson back for the puck. Cassidy intercepts in the corner. Keeps after the puck. Gets it to Richardson. Blue line feed. Bieksa. Richardson. Stanton down from the left point. Here's Cassian coming out front of the backhand. And power move. Didn't wind up in the net. Richardson from a sharp angle. Stick handling. Rebound. Stanton scores. Second career goal for Ryan Stanton. And this one's tied at 1.
John, this all started with Zach Kassian, and that's one of the things that the Canucks wanted Kassian to do. Be that power forward. Bring the puck to the net. And he did that. He started the play by originally bringing the puck to the net, and Jaro Halak stopped him. There's Kassian, front of the net, good presence, the defense trying to get him. Now he brings it to the front of the net. Jaro Halak never gets back, set, and here's Brad Richardson again. He brings it out, and Ryan Stanton wisely comes in off the point, and the rebound is by Jaro Halak.
Stanton's second career. Kassian instrumental. And the first one for Ryan Stanton came last October against Ryan Miller in Buffalo. 83 games he'd gone without scoring, but he's got his first of the year here tonight. Here's a chance for the Islanders to seek this with a shot, and a glove saved by Eddie Lack. Canucks on the board, a winner. Safeway Score and Win. On behalf of Safeway and Heinz Beans and Pasta from Surrey, congratulations, Henry Wang. You've won a Troy-built single-stage snow thrower.
Well, when you're on for a goal against, and Stanton and Bieksa were on for the goal against, it's nice to get it right back, and Ryan Stanton read the play very well. Gets the rebound off Jaro Halak on the play by Brad Richardson and puts it away.
Here's Boychuk with a drive and a right-hand save by Eddie Lack through traffic. Nick Bonino brings the puck out. Flips it ahead for Lyndon Vay. Sharp angle shot wide of the goal. Higgins for Bonino. And Clutterbuck intercepts that one. Matt Martin, the Islander goal scorer, chips the puck in from center. He's got to race after it. Would have been icing, but he got to the hash marks first. Nielsen being watched by Vay. Puck deflects to the far side, and the Canuck net's been dislodged, so the whistle blows.
Get ready for game time with over 100 menu items. Order now at bostonpizza.com for delivery.
Talking about Coach of the Year? Maybe. Jack Capuano. You look around the league, and there's a bunch of guys that would say, okay, the teams have really come back and played well. Well, how about the Islanders? Okay, they made the good moves. Gar Snow, maybe Manager of the Year. Goaltending means so much.
It does. Their record... Oh, here's a turnover. And Alex Burrows into the corner for Henrik Sedin, behind the net. Daniel centering pass for Burrows, and the goaltender Halak got his stick on that one. And they are definitely improved, the Islanders, don't get me wrong, but their record inflated just a tiny bit by their 6-1 record in shootouts.
Give the goalie credit. And you talked about that win record, that Billy Smith's record fell. How many of those were in shootouts? That's 6-1 record.
Halak's 4-0 in the shootouts. He's given up just 3 goals on 15 attempts.
Remember him from the Montreal-Washington playoff series where he was absolutely incredible. Ahead of Carey Price.
Had a shutout against the Canucks as a member of the Montreal Canadiens, the Bell Center.
Remember, it was a toss-up. Who are they going to sign, Halak or Carey Price?
Just under 6 minutes to go in the first, 1-1 tie. Islanders trying to set up a chance. Donovan. Now Tavares has had his stick broken on a slash. The referee's missed it. Henrik Sedin passes to Sean Mathias, and a hard shot stopped by Halak. 5.5 to go in the first. Mathias trying to check Okposo. Tavares winds up with the puck and moves in on Bieksa. Kassian gives him a jolt. So Tavares goes down, but still makes a play into the middle where Nick Leddy shoots the puck in. Here's Kassian. Tavares went back at him. Just like Bieksa, he took a number. Islanders trying to move in. Tanev gets the puck past Kuhlman. And now Edler takes a pass from Vay. Ahead for Higgins, who didn't make contact. And they'll call icing on the Canucks for a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Good for luck, warmth, and assuming a different identity. Want to get your What Happens Here Stays Here on? Book now at LasVegas.com.
John, you talked about this inflated record of the Islanders, but the goaltender gets a win for those shootout wins. You don't get a loss, you get a shootout loss, but they don't count that as a loss. And Jarl has done very, very well in those skill competitions.
4.5 minutes to go in the first. And the Islanders offside as Grabowski and Nelson tried to move in. Canucks fell behind first time in 7 games. They've given up the opening goal, but Ryan Stanton has them back to square.
They are the next ones, the future of the NHL. Jake Virtanen practices one-timers to win. Hashtag what to win. And don't forget to play Safeways. $1 million score and win if any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game. Alan Paul of Kamloops could win $1 million. Good luck, Alan.
Guys got your hat.
Disco.
Face off between the two number 53s here as Rasmus Saint Laurent explains something to Jack Capuano. Clutterbuck plays the puck in. Here's Martin trying to chop one on goal, blocked by Yannick Weber. Weber hit hard in the corner by Martin as he made a play. Dorsett trying to get the puck out, but the Islanders hold it in. 4 minutes to go in the first. 1-1 tie. Cizikas check on Weber, who's absorbed a couple here on this shift. He'll head to the Vancouver bench now as Hansen chases after the puck. Donovan tips it ahead right to Dorsett. He shoots it just off the mark. Derek Dorsett again. That one off the skate of Hickey. And Oposo brings the puck out. He's hit by Dorsett. He's slow to get up. Oposo didn't see that one coming. Still out there as the Islanders' Hamonic shoots the puck in from center. Oposo got a piece of it. They're hitting to hurt tonight. Here's Henrik Sedin through for Daniel. And the puck got by him. Burrows now knocks it down with a high stick. And the face-off will come outside the blue line.
I was surprised that Oposo didn't see this coming. Derek Dorsett's there. Well, I guess not. He turned back and there's Oposo. He doesn't see it. Gets tapped with the stick first though. And then gets pushed into the boards awkwardly. Boy, the Islanders, their draft picks coming through. They have 7 of their own first-round draft picks playing in this game. Oposo one of them, and Tavares naturally first overall, but the other guys maturing and getting some goaltending, and those 2 defensemen have really helped.
3 minutes to go in the first. Stanton knocks that one out of the air, throws the puck ahead, bounces past everyone, and an icing call brings the face-off down the ice.
Islanders on the road. And there's Doug Weight and Jack Capuano. And they've been warned a couple of times now about not getting their players out there in a timely fashion.
They've got Strome, Lee, and Nielsen out there right now. Now Boychuk with a shot from the line off a stick and out of play in the corner to the left of Eddie Lack.
Saw that before the game. We did a little thing on Johnny Boychuk and how he's made a difference. He's missed 10 games this year, and he's still up there and playing almost 22 minutes a game for the Islanders. And you wondered with the Bruins, when Chara went down, they missed Boychuk for sure.
On defense with Leddy, who gets the puck and tries a wrister, kicked out by Lack. Rebound right up the gut, but the Canucks able to get it out of harm's way, and here comes Matthias. Slowing, trying to shake free from Boychuk. Behind the net, Richardson with some room. Matthias goes to the front. Richardson couldn't get the pass through. He'll try the near side, spinning and off the skate of Boychuk. Kassian trying to keep the puck for Vancouver. And Matthias wins the battle with Nielsen. Bieksa down from the right point. In front, out of the reach of Richardson. And Strome displays the puck to an open wing at center. Islanders chance to break in here. And the shot attempt by Nelson is off Ryan Stanton, who controls the puck. 2 minutes to go in the first. Stanton ahead, tipped in. Higgins chases after the puck. Bonino's there as well for Vancouver. Donovan. For the Islanders, they had the puck for a moment. Now Spiza trying to hold it in, but it's out to center and onto the stick of Weber. Yannick Weber risks the puck back in. Kuhlman drops it back for Hickey. Almost gave it away. Now held in by Spiza. Bay from the corner. Pass to Higgins. Blue line feed, Spiza. And around for Linden Bay. Bonino takes his pass, comes in front on the backhand. Right through the crease and out the other side. Weber with a drive. And that didn't get through. Here's Bonino at the side. And the pass just out of the reach of Higgins. Islanders ice the puck. And the Canucks will get an offensive zone faceoff with just over a minute to go in the first.
And a long shift for the Islanders. Good pressure at Bonino with the wraparound try, and Linden Bay, who had made the original play, not in position to get that one.
Had their chances. Sedins and Burrows come up and win the draw, but Henrik's going to get a penalty here. Or pardon me, it's Burrows who got Grabowski on the draw, and Alex Burrows heads to the penalty box.
Well, the interference, Grabowski's trying to get out, and Alex Burrows stick in his skates. I also like Grabowski's comments on Randy Carlyle's firing. He said Randy taught him a lot, good and bad. Not a ringing endorsement.
It's been a good day for quotes between. You look at Phil Kessel and
Yes.
Ron Wilson with some interesting stuff to say earlier today. Islanders late power play trying to take the lead. Lenny with a blast. Tavares being checked by Edler. Here's a chance for Nelson, and might have hit his own teammate Oposo with that one. Oposo centers. Tanev after the puck. Held in by Boychuk, but now forced out to center. The Canucks are 2-on-1. Here come the Sedins. Daniel in, centers for Henrik. Wound up being a save for Halak. And that short-handed bid thwarted. 20 seconds now remaining in the first period. Oposo trying to shoot the puck in. That's off his stick and over the glass.
Henrik and Daniel get their signals crossed here. I think Henrik was hoping that Daniel would shoot it. Played very well on defense, and Nick Leddy stays right in the middle. And Daniel doesn't have a play and doesn't shoot it. Instead goes to the backhand and slips off the end of his stick, and an easy save for Yaroslav Halak.
Spiza clears the puck there. Islanders have 10 seconds to work with. Power play will carry over into period 2. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. After Matt Martin opened the scoring for the Islanders, 9.5 into the first, Canucks came back to tie.
This period brought to you by Toyota. Toyota's Boxing Month event is on now at a Toyota dealer near you.
Islanders to the dressing room. All even here on the road, Brad. 1-1 through 1 at Rogers Arena.
Canucks and Islanders tied at 1, second period in a moment. We should tell you our next Canucks telecast in 48 hours as Vancouver hosts Roberto Luongo and the Florida Panthers. That's Thursday night, 7 o'clock Pacific on Sportsnet Vancouver Hockey and Sportsnet Pacific. All NHL regional restrictions apply. This, of course, the first time that Luongo has faced his former teammates in Vancouver. In fact, the Panthers are already in Vancouver. He's in the building today to do a press conference, saying hi to Eddie Lack, the Twins. You see Mark Slavin, his friend and equipment rep. He had his press conference today, went through just about everything as he gets set to take on Bieksa and his former mates for a second time since being traded to the Panthers at last season's deadline. John?
Alex Burrows in the penalty box to begin period number 2. 45 seconds remaining in his minor, and here's Oposo spinning with a shot that went off Edler and wide of the goal. Nick Leddy. John Tavares back to Leddy. Tavares again. Oposo from the corner. Canucks doing a good job of pressuring the Islanders, keeping them to the outside, and now Higgins brings the puck out. pass to Brad Richardson. Richardson, the overtime hero on Long Island last year. Canucks winning a pretty high-scoring affair, if I remember it correctly. They'll be taking on the Islanders on the road in February. There's a save by Lack on a long shot from Hamonic. And he hangs on with just 2 seconds to go in the penalty to Burrows.
Eddie Lack had no chance on the goal that beat him in the first period, and here he finds the puck. Ryan Stanton does a nice job boxing out. Canucks in the faceoff circle were not very good in the first period. There's 7 out of 23. 2 seconds left, killing this penalty. Be nice to win one.
Islanders wind up with the puck. Burrows is out of the box. Here's DeHaan with a shot. Ricocheted across the front. Now intercepting is Daniel Sedin. Burrows ahead of the play. There's the pass, and just disrupted by Hamner as Burrows was trying to get loose on a breakaway. Ryan Stanton either has a skate problem or is injured heading to the bench. And icing called against the Islanders as we check on Stanton.
Skate.
And it is an equipment problem. His own goaltender was there. You see the blade.
And there's Alex Burrows, sees that he might have a chance, and Hamonic with a nice play saw where it had to go.
It's like one of those table hockey
yes.
players
Yes,
spinning
it is.
around.
Yes, it is. And Eddie Lack's trying to push him towards the bench.
Jeff Skinner would have been proud of some of those moves.
Pat O'Neill comes over to help out.
Chase for the puck at the Vancouver blue line. Martin and Spiza. Spiza angles away so that Venino could come out with a puck. Here's Dorsett. Ran into Hickey. Now Weber unable to hold the puck in. It's back down into the Vancouver zone. Donovan for the Islanders. Sends one ahead. Deflected into the Vancouver zone by Ryan Strome. Spiza starts up. Pass ahead for Cassie. Trying to lead for Richardson. That's a turnover in the neutral zone with the Canucks on a change. And here's Strome in with a wrist shot, knocked away by Lack. Weber was headed to the bench, has to stay out after the Cassian giveaway. Now Nelson took a look, puck got away from him as he tried to swing it on goal. Brock Nelson comes out front, shot attempt block. Cassian able to work the puck to Matthias. And it's played in over the New York blue line. Here's Cassian in, teammates in front. Zach Cassian with a shot attempt off the stick of Nick Leddy, and the puck sails over the glass.
Eric Islanders team, and you go way back their history and the real good teams, and this Islander team they're finally doing something that Gar Snow and the rest of the Islander management team, and Jack Capuano, who one of the longest serving coaches now. Randy Carlyle gone, all the coach changes. Jack has been able to, and he'll be moving to Brooklyn with the team next year. Another new building for you and I to work out of. And hopefully they've got the press box somewhere in the vicinity so we can see the ice.
Yes. There's Hansen with a shot attempt. Dorsett on the loose puck. Here's Horvat. On your right forward. Derek Dorsett bodied by Hamonic. And Kuhlman banks the puck to center. Alex Edler with a pass to Derek Dorsett. Hansen on the right side. Centering the puck, it's off a skate. As Hamonic had Horvat tied up, going to the front of the net. Canucks move back in. Again, it's Hansen with Horvat in front. Pass comes across. Tanev shoots. Stopped with a short side. And Halak, not sure he knew exactly where the puck was, but he had it, and he gets the whistle.
Very calmly. It did not move at all. And Corey Hirsch was talking about having Jaro Halak in St. Louis and how the pressure, the lack of pressure in the island helps Halak. And you can see how calm he is after a game in Edmonton where he misplayed a puck for the Edmonton Oilers' first goal, and then Fraser scored on him on a bad one late in the game. This time he just calmly takes it away.
Hickey, checked by Alex Burrows. Daniel Steen takes a hit, centering pass. Burrows missed it. Here's Stanton. Round behind for Henrik Sedin. Daniel skates to that puck. Again behind the net, Henrik. Hickey's on him. Burrows trying to help out. Pass comes to Cizikas, who was upended. Legs got tangled up with Ryan Stanton. Burrows holds the puck in. Henrik Sedin to Alex Burrows. Daniel on the inboards. Puck gets away from him, and Casey Cizikas brings it out. Clutterbuck moves in. Checks Stanton, who gets the puck around to Kevin Bieksa. Leddy checked in his own line. Higgins trying to break him. Being hampered, but never did settle the puck and get a chance. But here's Lyndon Bay. Pass for Higgins. And the Islanders break that up. Puck cleared. Spiza collects. Yannick Weber. Ahead to Bonino. Across to Bay. Lyndon Bay with a wrist shot. Partially blocked by Leddy. Slides through to Halak, who covers up with exactly 5 minutes gone in the second period.
Get hassle-free auto insurance and more from the friendly folks at Canadian Direct Insurance.
That was Lyndon Bay's first shot on goal in this game, and how many chances did he had, John, where he could have shot? We saw him try and force a pass through to Chris Higgins about 10 seconds before that shot. When you're struggling, when you're in and out of the lineup, every chance you get, you shoot it on net. You never know, you might get a bounce.
He's been all around the puck, that's for sure. Here's Matthias sliding one in from center. Leddy. Pass to Boychuk. He sends Grabner away. Oposa forces the puck to the corner. Tanev there trying to leave for Edler. Grabner hustled after that one. Richardson clears ahead. Here's Cassian one-on-one on Leddy. Zach Cassian trying to cut inside. Puck comes through to Halak. He'll cover it. And Cassian and Leddy, a couple of words after the whistle.
Now, John Tavares is one of those players that the Islanders targeted right away, and he has really been the face of the franchise. And for him to say, I want to be part of this, I want to be part of building and signing the long-term contract, it's staying with the team, and now the team is getting better around him, and he is their leader, no doubt about that.
DeHaan for the Islanders with a pass to Travis Hamonic. Puck shot to the near side. Martin for Cizikas. Puck rolls away from him. Weber throws a check. Now here's Martin once more. Pass in front. Clutterbuck with a shot attempt wide of the goal. 6 minutes into the second, a 1-1 tie. Martin, the Islanders' goal scorer, back to Hamonic. DeHaan with a shot attempt. He was hoping for a deflection from Kuhlman. Brock Nelson. Pass back. DeHaan with a wrist shot. Eddie Lack steers that one to the corner. Good zone time here for the Islanders. Now a turnover. Nelson fan on his shot attempt. Weber's down in a heap.
High stick.
Is that on the follow-through?
I don't think so.
Yannick Weber on his feet, but unable to do much. Is Lack able to swallow that one up, get the whistle, and Yannick Weber can get some attention here. We'll step aside with Yannick Weber trying to shake it off, see what happened to him.
Well, we mentioned that the Panthers were in town early. Head coach Gerard Gallant. You guys watch so much video. What's the advantage, if any, of scouting the game live?
Well, when you see a team like tonight, you can go watch the game live, and it definitely helps. You can see the whole arena and see what they're doing with the system-wise. So, I mean, we watch a lot of video. You usually do 2 or 3 games before you play them, but just to get a take and see what they're doing.
As you know, the big focus around here will be Roberto Luongo. What has he brought to your club this season?
Oh, he's been a steady influence on our team. I mean, just a veteran guy that shows up to play every night, and he's been outstanding for our club. He gives us a chance to win every game.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
John?
2 nights from now, it'll be Luongo and the Panthers on the ice here. Islanders tonight in a 1-1 tie, and that puck deflects up and out of play.
You know how we were talking Coach of the Year? Florida has played fewer games than just about anybody, and they're right there in the playoff hunt. Gerard Gallant would be one of the candidates, one of my candidates anyway.
It's the one award we get to vote on.
Yes.
Here's a post with a shot, and that hit a leg in front. Oposo again. Jahan lets it go, blocked by Burrows, who one-hands the puck to the side. Here's Daniel Sedin, pass to Henrik Sedin. Daniel again on the backhand. Down behind the net, trying to bring the puck to the front. Hamonic's onto it in the corner, and he skates the puck to center. Pass blocked. Tavares gets the puck, feeds it back to Calvin DeHaan, and ahead to Michael Grabner, who tips the puck in and heads off.
John Tavares is now 7 out of 8 in the face-off circle. And the Islanders are 21-9.
Not many shots in this hockey game. 12-8 in favor of the Islanders as Bonino steals on a sharp angle shot stopped by Halak. Third shot of the period for the Canucks. Islanders have had 4. Here's Bieksa. Stop, rebound. And Bonino scores. Second goal in 24 games, and you saw the look of relief as Nick Bonino makes it 2-1.
And that's a smart play by Kevin Bieksa. He sees Nick Bonino all by himself, so it's not a hard shot. It's a little wrist shot that Bonino can tip. Good pressure. Nick Bonino has the shot. Pass back. The Islanders with this giveaway, the cross ice right to Kevin Bieksa. The wrist shot tipped, and then Bonino right there for his own rebound. Look at that play by Kevin Bieksa. Good heads-up play, and Bonino, no problem.
Bonino at 8:01 has his 9th. And it should just be the 1 assist. Canucks with their first lead of the hockey game. Here's Grabowski with a shot. He ripped it wide. Grabowski again, centering the puck. Cizikas turns it. Throws one to the net, knocked away by Lack. Puck loose on the near side. Donovan moves down from the blue line. Bieksa fighting for the puck. Donovan with a shot, blocked. Puck ricochets the other way. Here comes Kassian. Bieksa racing to join this rush as Kassian moves in. Gets the puck to Mathias, now across. Henrik Sedin's onto the ice. Bieksa complaining he was having his stick held, and the puck winds up deflecting out of play. Nick Bonino has the go-ahead goal for Vancouver. We have another winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Heinz Beans and Pasta. From Kamloops, Linda McKelgan. He won a Garmin Verb Elite HD Action camera.
The Islanders give this one away, and it goes right to Kevin Bieksa. Head up, throws a little wrist shot to Nick Bonino, who tips it, and that's why Halak can't control that rebound. It was chipped right in front of him by Bonino, and he gets his own rebound and puts it away.
Horvat, Hansen, and Dorset out for Vancouver. Here's a shot attempt by Spiza. Comes back to Weber. He lets it go and into the glove of Halak. So good to see Yannick Weber out there. Didn't miss a shift after getting clipped. And had a shot on goal for the Canucks.
Again, good smart play by Weber. Just get that shot through. Little snapper. Get it by the first guy.
Horvat loses the draw, but Dorset gets to the puck. 9 minutes into the second. Leddy has Dorset pinned in the corner. Horvat comes in to try to help up. Bo Horvat to Yannick Hansen. In deep for Derek Dorset. Hooks one to the crease. Hansen on the rebound, bounces past him. Weber, good job to keep the puck in. Horvat. Down for Dorsey. Horvat took a spill. Now Hansen gets the puck. Puts it in front and knocked away by Nick Leddy. Boychuk hit by Hansen. Cizikas gets the puck and it's lifted high into the Vancouver zone. Matt Martin with another hit. Laid one on Sneeza. Here's a turnover. Henrik Sedin intercepting. He's checked by Tavares. Who now centers the puck to Grabner. Wrist shot. He can fire it, but he missed the net. Dangerous pass there, but Daniel Sedin got it by John Tavares. Loose puck at center. Burrows trying to work it along the boards. Able to get it to Henrik Sedin, who slides it in behind the Islander goal. Played around to Michael Grabner, who just hands the puck to Tanev at center. Edler. Pass broken up. Burrows hustles to the loose puck. Edler and Tanev play catch, and now Henrik Sedin takes the pass. Rink wide for Higgins, who's fresh off the bench. Shot off the left shoulder of Jaro Halak. Henrik Sedin, with those two empty netters the other night, pulled down by DeHaan. They in support. Tavares is on him. Gets the puck around to Strome, and now Tavares another chance. Finds Michael Grabner at the end of his shift. Hamonic takes the pass, and this one wide of the net. 9 minutes to go in the second. And Higgins is out with the puck. Flips it off Hickey. Donovan goes back. Vey is on him. Nielsen ahead for Lee. Anders Lee checked at center. But Kuhlman able to play the puck forward. And Stanton bumped in the corner by Nielsen. Two Islanders on him. Vey trying to help out. Donovan shoots one wide, hoping to ricochet it in front. Lack had a little trouble with that puck. It's loose behind the goal. Stanton trying to work it with the gloves. But here's Anders Lee. Hit by Bieksa. Bonino comes back for the puck. And he lifts it high and out to center.
Canucks need this change. Ryan Stanton gets up. Now Kevin Bieksa is trying to head to the bench.
Ran into his own teammate, but he gets there, replaced by Yannick Weber. Steal by Hansen. Grabowski gets it back, but Weber is able to slide the puck to the side, and it's driven into the Islanders' zone by Dorsey. Under 8 minutes to go in period 2. Canucks with a go-ahead goal from Bonino. Grabowski. Pass with Kuhlman. Working on Lucas Sneeza. Pass back. Boychuk for the drive. That went off Derek Dorsey. Hansen gets the puck ahead, not by Leddy, and he wrists it back in. Onto the ice, Cizikas. Now Strome left point, Leddy with a drive, lack of save. He's able to grab the rebound before Cizikas can get it, and then a couple of glove punches in front. And they're not done yet. Originally, I think it was Weber involved. Dorsett came in for Vancouver, and we'll take a break.
Well, Johnny Boychuk picked up his 4th goal of the season a couple of nights ago in Edmonton, and you can partially thank his older brothers Sam and Dave for helping him with his heavy shot. When he was in elementary school, if he was the last one home, his 2 brothers would lock him out of the house in Edmonton, force him to shoot pucks at an old pail in the driveway. He said he hated it. It was cold, but it certainly helped. And his parents on hand 2 nights ago at Rexall to watch him score his 4th this season.
His brothers Sam and Dave.
Ah, yes. You're a music fan.
Yes, you're a soul man.
Just a hint of...
Can you imagine in Edmonton now, it is minus 20. Yesterday, I think it was minus 23. Stuck outside, shooting pucks at the pail.
Somewhat cruel, I suppose,
yes,
but served him well. Tavares against Henrik Sedin on this face-off. Rare loss for the Islander, as John has chronicled. Daniel Sedin can't get the puck away from Boychuk. And Nick Leddy starts out on the far side. Burrows picks off his pass. And in he comes. Leddy, good defensive play. But Burrows is back up and onto the puck. Deflects to Boychuk. Hands it to Burrows. Alex Burrows. Daniel Sedin. Henrik Sedin. And a shot off a stick fluttered in the air. Grabbed by Halak.
Oh, nice play by Nick Leddy, just staying with his man after the giveaway by Boychuk. Leddy just stayed. Boychuk gives it away, and now Leddy stays in the middle, doesn't go too far away, and when Henrik gets that puck back from Daniel, Leddy is right there to get the stick on it. Leddy stays, starts to go, and then stays again. That's good positional defense.
Burrows to Daniel to Henrik. I think I've sung that song before. Sean Matthias backhands the puck in. Islanders send it ahead to Kuhlman. Pass just out of the reach of Nelson. And here's Ryan Stanton with 6.5 to go in the second. He's hit as he plays the puck forward. Hamonic passes to Calvin DeHaan. Up ahead to Nikolai Kuhlman. Pass for Grabowski. Wrist shot blocked. Loose puck in front. Poked away by Eddie Lack. Nelson from the corner. His pass deflects down the ice. 6 minutes to go in the second. Anders Lee works the puck to Frans Nielsen. Couldn't get by Edler. But Lee follows up. Moves down and around behind the goal. Anders Lee pass back. Donovan with a shot. Flutter to the side. Lee centers and Strome just missed that pass. Chris Higgins tips the puck in and steps around Hickey. Higgins angled off behind the goal. Keeps after the puck. Donovan has it. Hit by Higgins. Here's Vey stealing. Line pass broken up, but he gets the puck back. Higgins looking in front. Pass for Bonino, knocked away by Hickey. Another good offensive zone shift for this trio of Canucks. Islanders try to move out, flip the puck to an open wing. Tanev's after that one and turns back inside his own blue line. 5 minutes to go in the second. Daniel Sedin throws one up to center. Bonino after the puck of the Islander blue line, but here comes Nick Leddy into Vancouver territory. Pass for Tavares to Mark Edler. Steps into a Poso behind the goal. And now Henrik Sedin intercepts. Pass to Daniel. Grabner gives him a bump. As the Islanders play the puck out, Henrik Sedin adroitly knocked that one out of the air. Has his pocket picked by Grabner. And the Islanders control deep in their own zone. This will be an icing call. And a face-off coming up in the Islanders' end. Murph.
Guys, Canucks Fantasy Hockey, powered by Rogers, is back with a brand new format. Compete against other fans and you can win monthly prizes. Visit CanucksFantasyHockey.com to play for free and show your fellow fans what you're made of.
This is one of the quicker icing face-offs. The Islanders trying to stall a little bit.
Islanders win the draw. Leddy drives the puck around. No icing on this one, and New York able to make its change. 4 minutes to go in the second. As Bo Horvat brings the puck in on the left wing. Here's Hansen to the blue line, and Tavares reaching out, tips that one to center. Lucas Sbisa. Second attempt gets the puck to Yannick Weber. Sbisa once more. Return pass from Weber. Dorsett deflects the puck in, and he heads to the bench. Canucks up to 10 shots in the period. Had only 2 for the longest time. And they've held the Islanders to 6. On the rush, Matthias. And that one's off the stick and over the net. Double shift here for Nick Bonino in place of Brad Richardson. And I don't think Richardson's at the bench.
No, I was just going to say there. missing a man.
Ryan Strome. Passing. Strome just slowed up to get away with that one. Whole building shook. Turnover for the Islanders and a breakaway for Linden Vey. Puck got away from him. Now he gets it, moves in, scores. They're all going in for the right guys in this one as far as the Canucks are concerned. It's 3-1.
Well, and Linden Vey had trouble handling this one, but once he gets it, a good offensive player has the knack. Turnover by the Islanders. Now he has trouble with this. Halak decides to stay back in the net, and Linden Vey makes him pay with that quick little double move through the legs. Has some problems, and then the quick, and you can see Halak opening up. Linden Vey's got his head down, trying to control it, catches up, and then the double shift, and Halak through the legs.
So Bonino with his second in 24. Vey with his first in 13. And the Canucks lead by 2, and here they come again. Higgins around Boychuk. Looks like a birthday on the rebound. Here's Dorsett. Ran into the goaltender. And the puck stayed out of the goal. Dorsett clutching his face as he heads to the bench. So he was injured in that goal mouth collision, trying to force that puck in. Now an offside call. They'll bring this face-off all the way down the ice. Mike Bernstein was in the dressing room, had to rush back to the bench to check on the Canucks. Here's the goal by Vey, and Vancouver up by 2. Linden Vey from Derek Dorsett, making it 3-1, a winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Heinz Beans and Pasta. Aran Balint of New Westminster, you won a Lagostina 10-piece cookware set.
And there's Mike Bernstein talking to Derek Dorsett. Nick Leddy's stick right in the face. The referee is there, doesn't make the call. He's about 5 feet away. That was a pretty obvious high stick, and you can see Derek Dorsett slamming the door as no call on the pretty obvious high stick.
You saw him there, stayed at the bench. Still no sign of Brad Richardson. We believe he may have blocked a shot earlier in the period. Here's Hamonic with a blast. That's blocked by Alex Edler. Now a long backhander. Tanev was cross-checked down in front. The Canucks get the puck ahead to center. Here's Henrik Sedin. Pass to Daniel. Checked by Hamonic. Shoots the puck around. Strome deflects it to center where Tanev takes possession and risks the puck back in. Steal by Daniel Sedin. Here's Henrik. Hansen's come onto the ice, replacing Burrows. Henrik for Daniel. Kulemin trying to tie him up. We're in the final minute of the second with the Canucks leading 3-1. Dehaan flips one forward perfectly for Kulemin, trying to bust his way in. Stopped by Eddie Lack. Grabowski on the puck. Pass to Nelson. Wrist shot off Spiza and out of play.
Breaking the action, we can tell you that Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game is Heinz Beans and Pasta.
Can always put ketchup on that. Another first rounder of the Islanders taking this face-off.
Bonino wins the draw. Now Kulemin taken down. There'll be a penalty to Stanton. So with 27.5 seconds to go in the period, Ryan Stanton heads to the box, and the Islanders, like they did in the first, get a late power play.
Pretty obvious one. Ryan Stanton is beaten. Kulemin's got a step on him. Out goes the stick. Kulemin goes down, and Ryan Stanton ends up in the penalty box.
Power play number 3 for the Islanders. 0 for 2, and the Canucks continuing their stellar work on the penalty kill. Puck cleared down the ice, And the Islanders will have to start from their own end.
And Nick Bonino with a big face-off win. He has not had a good night.
Higgins gets the loose puck, clears it out. And the Islanders will have to settle for starting the third with the man advantage. Maybe one last chance for Tanev. He whistles one over top of the goal. And a cathartic period for a couple of Canucks, Nick Bonino and Lyndon Vay, who've been feeling the heat to score. They each light the lamp, Brad, and the Canucks lead by 2. Heading to the third here in Vancouver, the Canucks leading the New York Islanders 3-1. Let's get the scoring summaries for you, brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Canucks gave up the first goal, first time in 7 games. Ryan Stanton able to tie it before the end of the first after Matt Martin opened the scoring. And then Bonino and Vay, 2 guys who needed it. And they both got goals to open the 2-goal lead. Ryan Stanton in the penalty box to begin period number 3. Minute and a half to go in his tripping minor. There's a long one on Halak, who had to steer that puck to the side. Canucks still without Brad Richardson. So down a forward. We'll have more on that in a sec.
And down the penalty killer.
Bonino and Burrows were up front to begin the period. Now they head off, replaced by the Sedins. With just over a minute to go in the minor to Ryan Stanton. Here's John Tavares. Pass to Oposo. Gets the puck back to Boychuk. Left point. Leddy with a drive. And I think that hits Spiza in front of Eddie Lack. Spiza slow to get up, favoring his left leg. Would love dearly to get off the ice, but the Canucks can't get the puck out. Spiza gamely trying to defend here as he battles Nelson in front of the goal. Long shot hit Oposo. Henrik Sedin gets the puck, clears it out, and Spiza will hobble to the Vancouver bench.
25.
Mike Bernstein goes down and looks at Lucas Spiza.
And he's going to go to the dressing room. 10 seconds to go on the penalty, and then the Canucks will be back to 5 defensemen when Stanton emerges. Brian Strome trying to move in. That's broken up. Here comes Stanton on, and the Islanders are 0 for 3 on the power play, still trailing 3-1. Matt Donovan plays the puck in. Islanders are offside here, and as Lee touches that puck, the whistle blows. Another fallen Canuck, this time Lucas Spiza.
Oh, Nick Leddy and Boychuk, and you can see Spiza gets turned around. He's trying to go with Tavares, so he's in no position to block that shot.
Spiza just came back, yeah. And here's what happened to Brad Richardson in the second, we think.
Well, the shot comes through, and Brad lifts the leg up and just on the inside of the left knee. And obviously, where there was no padding.
Thomas Hickey backhands the puck in. Mathias sends it around, held in. Donovan, long shot deflected, and into the chest of Eddie Lack, who'd gone to his knees to track that puck.
Eddie Lack's been in good position. He had no chance on the goal, although there hasn't been a whole lot of chances at either end in this game. Shot tipped through, and Eddie is just at the top of the crease to make the save and hang on.
Night off for Ryan Miller. Somewhat surprised given how well he's played in the last half dozen games.
You think it was the extra day? I think so. He got a week off not that long ago. Gets the extra day in this one.
Canucks offside. We expect to see Miller 2 nights from now when Roberto Luongo will be at the other end of the ice.
It's not that often you get to give your number 1 guy 4 or 5 days off. He had a week off earlier with quirk in the schedule, and with this one, Canucks played Saturday against Detroit, and now don't play again until Thursday, so he's got the extra day.
Canucks have 2 back-to-backs on their upcoming 5-game road trip. So you assume Eddie Lack gets a couple starts there.
I would think Chad Johnson will play one of the back-to-backs at the end of this Islander road trip.
Which takes them back east, their next game in New Jersey. 3 minutes into the third. Yannick Weber to Daniel Sedin. Now Henrik Sedin has his pass deflect to Calvin DeHaan. Nielsen with a chance to move in, and Lack got just enough of that one to steer it wide. Anders Lee, hard centering pass, comes all the way back to Calvin DeHaan. His shot off Burrows and wide. Hamonic at the right point. Pass came outside the blue line. Islanders will tag up after shooting the puck back in, and they'll make a full change. The exit of Sean Mathias, who moves in with speed. Checked by Boychuk as he tried to let go of the wrist shot. Edler holds the puck in. Kassian from behind the goal, making moves on Nick Leddy. Still with the puck. Kassian, nice pass in front, and Bonino had his shot blocked. Beautiful setup from Zach Kassian, with Bonino gunning for his second of the game. Now Kassian moves in, shoots. Stopped by Yaroslav Halak.
Well, Zach Kassian has had an eventful game in this one. His first game back, he was just so-so, and in this one, he's been playing with a little more strength. Corey talking about Zach realizing what he is, and he's got such good hands for a big man, and they're backhand, forehand, quick shot. Jarl Halak was forced to make a good save.
Canucks have made it official. Brad Richardson will not return to this hockey game. There's Weber stepping up and giving Cal Clutterbuck a taste of his own medicine. Martin pulls over Spiezak. Puck sent into the Islander zone. Hickey has it. Up for Martin. His pass for Cizikas broken up. Lyndon Vey the other way. Tips one in for Chris Higgins to go after. Hickey steps in front of him. And the puck is cleared out. Eddie Lack with the quick up to Alex Burrows, who backhands the puck behind the goal. A little over 5 minutes into the third. Here's Grabowski moving it. His wrist shot off the mark. Canucks just one outright blemish this year when leading after 2. They're 15-1-2 as Grabowski shoots, and a blocker saved by Eddie Lack. Another shot attempt. Grabowski once more. Taken away by Tannen. And Burrows clears the puck out. Right at linesman Jay Scherz. Hamonic moving in. Touch to the right. Centering pass. Knocked away by Lack. Bonino checked as he tried to clear the puck out. Islanders gaining a little traction here in terms of offensive zone time. Bonino knocked down. Edler's there. And Alex Edler passes to Nick Bonino. Through center. Now puts one in front behind Kassian, who was going hard to the net. Kassian and Leddy were involved. And the referee had a word for Zach, saying just get back into play. Boychuk from a sharp angle, held out by Lack. Puck squirts free to the far side. Nielsen's there for New York. Anders Lee working on Stanton. Blue line feed. Leddy to Boychuk. Slap shot off the stick of Kassian. Now an attempt by Strome from a sharp angle. Lee couldn't get the backhander through. Scrambly play in the Vancouver zone. And now the puck will escape and slide down into the Islanders' end. John Tavares. Puck taken away by Edler. Up to Bo Horvat. Boychuk stepped into him. Boychuk looked like he was a little shaken up, but seems to be all right. Horvat getting worked over by Oposo. The fans reacting to that. Oposo without a stick. They continue to shove away from the puck. Horvat goes to the front, had a chance and had his stick lifted. Now Oposo trying to move the puck out with his feet. Islanders get into the Vancouver blue line. Edler passes ahead to Lyndon Vey. In over the Islander line. Vey to Henrik Sedin. He's checked. And Clutterbuck brings the puck out. Moving in on Lucas Spiezan. Martin goes to the front. Clutterbuck tried to get him the puck, but it's off his stick. And into the glove of Eddie Lack. Zach Kassian hoping to get a pass on this rush. Wound up bumping the goalie and getting upended by Jaro Halak. Time for John Garrett's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway. Gear up for winter with a prime rib melt combo. Thick, savory cuts of juicy Canadian beef. Subway, eat fresh.
Real early in this game, Frans Nielsen takes Kevin Bieksa in. He looks at the referee. That's a hit from behind. I'll remember that one. Take a number. Stan Smeel, one of the best guys I played with, who would remember names, remember numbers, and somewhere down the line, the fresh take is you get the guy back.
Nick Bonino having his stick held by Casey Cizikas, who then was knocked down, but he gets up with the puck, comes out front. Hamonic moves down from the right point. Pass back out of the reach of Clutterbuck, and the puck slides into the Islander zone.
Canucks have played a good defensive game. Shots are 19-17. I had the chances at about 8-5 after 2 periods. Both teams not generating a whole lot, but when you're ahead, it's a lot easier to play this way.
Here's a steal by Chris Higgins. Now he's checked, but gets the puck back at center. Alex Burrows dumps one in. Daniel Sedin, first man to the puck. Pass to Henrik Sedin. Had to stop to gather. Now pass for Daniel. Cut off by Hickey. Islanders work the puck to Kuhlman, and here he comes to center. Hard pass. Hit his own teammate. Islanders keep possession. Nelson. Checked by Burrows, who gets the puck out. Not enough for icing. Both teams start to change, with Donovan controlling behind his own goal.
You got time, eh?
You got time, eh? There's 10 minutes left.
Felt like we were watching some curling.
Yes.
Conversations between the skip and the sweepers. Sean Matthias. Here's a one-timer by Hansen. And that hit Hickey in front of his goaltender, I think. Shot had some steam to it. Hickey being checked out of the bench.
Looks like it hit him in the left arm.
We're past the halfway mark of the third. Michael Grabner giveaway. Higgins trying to break in, tracked down from behind by Boychuk. Weber wrists one wide. Bayes after the loose puck. Now Higgins. Round for Yannick Weber, but he moved in a little bit and couldn't hold the puck inside the blue line. Bay takes a lead pass from Spiezan. Pass around, here's Bonino. Higgins in front. Bonino being watched by DeHaan. And the puck winds up on the stick of Kyle Oposo with 9 minutes to go in the third. He carries to the Vancouver blue line. Trying to go inside out on Spiezan, who was having none of that. Centering pass on a quick shot, kicked out by the right pad. Eddie Lack denying Matt Martin his second of the game. Good reaction stop there. Henrik Sedin pulled down. Canuck bench reacts. as the Eddie chant springs up at Rogers Arena. Lack steers that one further wide. Here's Daniel Sedin. Burrows was on early and wisely let that puck go by. Now he steals, moving in with Daniel. Burrows, Daniel shoots, blocked by Hamonic. Burrows from the corner. Oh, he tried to bank one in. Daniel Sedin bowled over by Hamonic. And whistle blows for only the 5th time this period. There's a too many men on the ice penalty coming up here, called by the linesman. We'll sort it out when we come back. Eddie Lack with a marvelous save off Matt Martin to keep it a 2-goal lead. Canucks are heading to the power play. It's brought to you by Subway. Gear up for winter with the prime rib melt combo. Thick, savory cuts of juicy Canadian beef. Subway, eat fresh.
Well, this is the second of the night for Jack Capuano and the New York Islanders. Too many men, and here 6 guys all over the blue line, and this is a real mix-up. Pretty easy on this one for the linesman to make the call.
Second power play for Vancouver. Both have come on too many men on the ice calls against New York. Linesman Brian Mock with a few extra words for Travis Hamonic before the drop of the puck. Henrik Sedin wins the draw. Edler hammers one wide of the goal. Ricochet to Kulinen, who starts up quickly. Steps inside on Edler. Now a one-timer by Nielsen is stopped by Eddie Lack. Henrik Sedin. Daniel couldn't reach that pass, and the puck is cleared all the way down again. Islanders only had 2 bench minors all season coming into this game. They add a couple more tonight. Lyndon Vay up for Burrows. Henrik Sedin leaves for Burrows at the left point. Runs into Kulinen. And the Islanders get the puck out. Here's Cizikas. Delay. He had Hickey going to the net. 3 Canucks take the puck away. But so far, Vancouver unable to set up with the man advantage. It's half done. 7 minutes now remaining. Weber fell down under the check of Grabner. He was already going down, then got steamrolled, and he's hurt. Kind of lost his balance, and Grabner followed right through.
Well, you could see Yannick Weber's coming back, and he just loses an edge. And Grabner, who is really buffed up since his days as a Canuck. There was no intent on that, as Weber just loses as he tries to stop. And it's the legs of Grabner that catch Yannick Weber.
So Weber is left. He'll get checked out. It's been a busy night in the Vancouver dressing room. Mike Bernstein just returning to the bench now.
He's asking for Doc Roganson to come down.
A couple of times the doctors had to leave his seat in the stands and pay a visit to the Vancouver room. Bonino bumped by Clutterbuck as he sent the puck in. And Hamonic clears it down the ice with 30 seconds to go on the bench minor, being served by John Tavares. Tanev rushes the puck in, gets it to Bieksa on the right side. Tanev for Dorsett. Puck went by Higgins behind the goal. Grabner trying to get it out, held in by Bonino. Pass to Dorsett. Derek Dorsett sets up shop on the left wing. Couple seconds left in the man advantage. Dorsett turns away from Grabner, sends one across, glove down. Bonino from the corner. Back to Bieksa. His shot deflects to the corner. And the Islanders get the puck out. Nelson tied up by Spiza. Bieksa along with Lucas Spiza. With Weber still absent. Bouncing puck to the front. Tavares was checked. Oposo holds the line. Bieksa Lost control of the puck. Islanders have it. Grabowski scores. Turnover at the blue line. And Mikhail Grabowski ripped that one home to make it a one-goal game.
Well, that power play was kind of a momentum killer for the Canucks. Full 2 minutes, never got control, and then get really careless in their own zone. Kevin Bieksa get it out. It's off his stick, the turnover, and then Grabowski gets all set. We've watched Radim Vrbata and the way he shoots the puck, and Grabowski, same sort of stance, gets ready. He's a scorer, gets the feet ready, and as soon as it's on his stick, it's just inside the post.
Poso with the steal and the spinorama before setting up Grabowski. And he scores his 6th. Back to a one-goal game. Here's Henrik Sedin. Pass around for Alex Burrows. Daniel Sedin leads for Henrik. Making moves on Hamonic. Daniel Sedin behind the net for Burrows. Puck gets by him, but Henrik is onto it. Islanders can't clear. Daniel goes to the front. Pass comes to Burrows. Henrik Sedin in for Daniel Sedin. Fans react as Daniel had his stick grab going after that puck. Now he shoots on a setup from Henrik. Stopped by Halak. Strome clears the zone. And Lee chases in on Spiza. Daniel Sedin collects the puck. He'll bring it forward. End of his shift. Try to pass for Horvat. That was blocked, and Johnny Boychuk gets the puck. Hansen takes it away to the crease, knocked away by Halak. Tanev paired with Stanton as the Canucks forced to mix things up on the blue line. Oposo. Another spin move, trying to find some room, and he does. Here's Donovan behind the net. Tavares puts one in front, and it's grabbed by Lack and covered. Under 4 minutes to go in the third. Canucks still leading, but only by 1 now after Mikhail Grabowski potted his 6th of the year.
Join the Save On Foods Canucks Fan Zone for your chance to win over 1,500 exclusive Canucks experiences and merchandise. Visit any Save On Food location to earn puck points by purchasing featured products. Then redeem your points for a chance to win. Visit Save On Foods, CanucksFanZone.com to sign up today.
3:52 to go, third period. This homestand opened with a third period shocker for the Canucks against the LA Kings on New Year's Day. They were able to put away Detroit when things got a little hairy on Saturday. A couple empty net goals for Henrik Sedin. And now the Islanders trying for a late push here. They've gotten within 1. Oposo against Henrik Sedin on this faceoff. Oposo wins it. Grabowski passes to the left point. Leddy with a shot attempt. Blocked by Jannik Hansen. Checks his stick to make sure it's not broken. Puck comes free to the near side. Boychuk. Sneaky wrist shot stopped by Lack. Leddy to Tavares. 3.5 minutes remaining. Here's Oposo centering the puck for Grabowski. And that went off the Canuck. Islanders hold it in. Boychuk with a drive. Blocked. Grabowski on the rebound. Lack's down. Whistle blows. And they're just going to make some sort of incidental contact ruling here, it looks like, and face off.
This really has gone slack here in the last month or so, the contact with the goaltender. Okposo comes out. Eddie does embellish, but there's nobody there, and Okposo just takes him out. That's contact with the goaltender inside the crease.
The officials pick up the flag, if you will.
Did you have Detroit in that one?
You know I don't wager.
You and Murph.
Chris Higgins forces the puck deep into the Islander zone. Lyndon Vay taken down. Stanton tries a shot, double deflection wide of the goal. 3 minutes to go. How aggressive is Jack Capuano in the pulling the goalie department? Dehaan around for Hamonic. Banks one ahead. Canucks intercept. Send the Islanders all the way back. Force them to come 200 feet. Tanev, checked by Grabowski, stood him up. Donovan controls. Across to Hickey. Steps up and chips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Tavares. Pass back. Room for Donovan. And his shot blocked by Dorsett. The puck ricochets down to the Islander blue line. 2 minutes to go. Canucks 3, the Islanders 2. Oposo to Grabner, and he backhands the puck in. Still no sign of Halak heading off. Here's Nelson, top of the slot with a wrist shot, like the save, took the puck, tried to bat it out of the air and missed it. The Islanders couldn't force it home. Now Oposo throws one across, knocked away by Daniel Sedin. And now Burrows tripped up. No call. Minute 20 to go. Here comes Nick Leddy. Halak sneaking out of the crease. He heads to the bench as Grabowski moves in. Pass was out of the reach of Tavares. Islanders, extra attacker. Crash in, looking for the loose puck. Kuhlman has it. Checked by Bonino. Now the puck comes back towards Hansen. He gets it ahead. Higgins gives chase. And he'll just try to tie the puck up, get it deep. And he does. 45 seconds to go. And Boychuk starts out with a pass ahead to Oposo. Backhands the puck in. The exit tips it free for Bonino. Takes a look, gets it off the glass. And out of the icing. So the Islanders will get an offensive zone face-off with just over 30 seconds remaining.
We'll shop at Safeway today, and you could be our next lucky winner. Watch Future at Sports telecast, and you can win an all-inclusive trip for two to a Grand Bahia Principe Resort, courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals.
Timeout, New York Islanders.
Jack Capuano defers to Doug Weight. Let's compare the goals in the NHL. Jack, Doug Weight.
Oh, hang on. Hang on.
Yeah,
hang on.
Okay. The Islanders have been very good in the faceoffs. The faceoffs are 34-20.
Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey is on the 4 main Sportsnet channels as the Washington Capitals visit the Leafs at 3:30 Pacific in the Leafs' first game without Coach Carlisle. Follow that at 6:30 Pacific. The Wings visit the Flames, also on the 4 Sportsnet channels and Sportsnet 360. Great doubleheader action tomorrow on Sportsnet.
See, our friend Steve Stales is going to be on the Leaf bench.
Yeah. Good man.
Yes, I like Steve a lot.
31.2 seconds for the Islanders here with the net empty, trying to tie the game. Bonino against Oposo. Bonino wins it. Islanders after the puck in the corner. Here's Ryan Strome. Leddy back for Strome. Lee's in front. Tavares lurking in the face-off circle. Should the puck make its way across? Hansen working doggedly to come up with the puck. Can't do it. Here's Lee trying to center for Tavares. Hansen plays the puck to the side. Now it's put in front. Strome centers. Tavares after the puck. Stanton takes it behind the goal, and time comes to an end. The game comes to an end. Time runs out. Linden Bay, the winning goal. And Eddie Lack, his 3rd win of the year as the Canucks take it 3-2.
And we did see a little bit of the Lack shuffle as the horn sounded, and it's such a relief to the backup goaltender. You haven't played in 3 weeks to get the win.
Canucks 2-1 on the homestand, 5-1-1 in their last 7 as they knock off New York.